Mic check.
Now try it.
Mic check. Mic check.
Try it again.
Mic check.
Let me see if I'm. All right, talk.
Mic check. Still 1, 2, 3. There we go.
So I'm gonna leave that open in case someone
I got you.
tells us we lose. All right, get on your level. Get a little high. You ready?
I'm good.
Well, welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. UTL Stadium Tour just wrapped up player interviews here at Breaux High School. Coach got to sit down with some of your leaders. Thank you for that opportunity. We get to see those guys on the game field very, very soon. And I'm sure you're very excited to see all the hard work from this offseason, all the hard work from this summer transition into a 2025 season.
Absolutely, especially with those guys though, because those are my road warriors, and those are the guys I'm gonna rely on from, inside information, the feel of the team, to maybe ask them, kind of push them beyond their boundaries of maybe more, not just leading by example, but needing more verbal ones, which each one has a different asset to the team, but they're gonna have to really be able to grow as a unit. And those 5, they are the ones who are coming back from last year and are here every day. And I liked hearing the accountability word, because that's what we're trying to get them.
Coach, let me ask you your thoughts on how your players just represented your program during that interview.
Besides Shy, which of course, like anything, that's a cast of characters, but for me though, it's when you look at the reflection of them, it's obviously being around good people. As coaches, we get a small little time with them, and everything, but they're just great kids. They're fun to be around, and for me, seeing a little bit of when a camera's in their face, it's fun. But for them, it's a different light of out there on the field. If it's in here in the weight room, they're getting after it. If it's in the locker room, and just seeing them just come together, that's the most fun time that I see. And not necessarily that us coaches are a part of it. It's seeing them just kind of in the actions and the inner workings of things.
Every year is different. How have you grown as a coach?
Well, last year I think really a lot of the things that I had to deal with was, making sure, I guess the best way to put it is stay on course. For my vision for the program, and being here from that 2013, 2014 area to leaving right around the COVID, about 2021, and going out and searching for new answers within Karen Crow, seeing what things were going with Coach T.C. Corville, and of course Coach Peters now at the helm over there, going to Church Point with Coach Poole and pulling the pieces together that last year, if you would have said I was going to become a head coach and go through 5 quarterbacks, have the injuries that we had, but a lot of the things is just staying on course, and that's what I really learned as far as the couple other places and a lot of the great coaches I had between Coach Paul and Coach Terry and Coach Chad Porcho here is that, it might not be going as planned, but every night if my head was hitting the pillow, knowing we're making the right decisions, that's where I think that growth was from. It was hard. A lot of people last summer, our numbers were low last year. Our numbers are growing, but it's still not where it should be. But if you don't come over summer, especially if there was somebody on this campus, they weren't going to come and take a spot. You have to invest in the summer. You have to invest in the off season. And for me, there was a lot of guys that were walking that hall last year that I had to tell them that they couldn't play. And I know that they probably could have helped us with depth. They could have helped us maybe win a ball game or two, but that's not the way I can run a program. So this year, and with like those guys that were interviewed earlier, they know to be a part of it, you got to be with us. And for me, that's the biggest growth is just staying on course, because it's easy to let something slip to maybe try to gain one extra win, but that might be the ultimate house of cards that falls within a program and culture.
Coach, you sending last year's seniors off with a win. What did that mean to you? And also your thoughts of this year's senior group.
Well, last year was, I'll never forget, I would think for the rest of my life, and I would think for those seniors last year was, being such a late hire and, the first summer practice with a new OC, a new DC, a new head coach. They had 3 head coaches out of 4 years, but we're just sitting not sitting, but we're on the 40-yard line, and with what I saw within the defensive system or the offensive system with the coordinators, it was, you go here, you go here, you go here, and those seniors really, really, really were asked to do a lot of things and really try to learn new offense, defense, and the way we go about special teams in a very short amount of time, but a very resilient group, a group that'll be missed. But for what they kind of showed, and if you noticed earlier, you don't play defense here, you play offense and defense, and you better appreciate being able to play special teams. If you feel like you're just a D lineman, like Christian Joseph said, after week 2, we had our starting one of the seniors. He actually was out for the rest of the season. Now he's a starting D lineman, he's a starting offensive lineman, and you grow quick within. But that's why these seniors are built differently is for the fact they put in the time. They know what it's like for that excruciating. You are playing 4 quarters of football. Some of them don't come off the field,
Storming in Breaux.
Yes.
How soon did you get back to work after that game? And also, with other kids going off to other sports, it's kind of difficult to get everyone back in here and get what you need done.
Well, and for me, at Breaux Bridge, especially for myself, I want multi-sport athletes. We promote that. That's something. Coach Lorenzo is a great basketball coach for us. So for us, it was good to say, look, we ended on a good note, go play basketball. Coach Gabe, same thing with our baseball and that mentality and the program that we've had there. Go play it. And then really all we had to do was sit down and figure out the plans of who are the ones not going to another fall sport, per se, like basketball or going straight into baseball. It was, speed development, you needed to go to track, linemen, we need to go into the weight room with powerlifting and really just maximizing strength, speed, because, on a 7-period day, we can only work them out for, 50-something minute class. If we're sitting them home at the bell, that's only about a 45-minute lift. So, they had to put in the extra work, and but we always kind of kept a pulse on everybody coming back, and a lot of them was coming in here to lift, whether they wanted to or not. As long as their head coaches were coming and telling me, don't do something, then they were in here. So they've been a part of it. And then when we all came back together for spring, it was It was like they never left, even though they did leave for other sports.
What role have your upper class or returning starters played in setting the tone for this year?
I think really just showing what it takes. One of the biggest things that for these seniors that I just want them to understand, and like everything is, embrace the hard things. It's hard to play offense and defense and special. It's hard. I did it in high school. I still feel it every time it rains in the mornings. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but it's hard. It's difficult, and for them when they're new. If you want to say they're new hard, they thought hard was here, but their heart is there. To me, that's them growing as men, and them just knowing they have to push extra. Because if you cheat a rep, which you heard them all say in the weight room we don't do, that's not getting you prepared for whether you play one side of the ball or not.
Summer is wrapping up. We're in fall camp. Did this group win the summer?
I would say for our core group, I think we won the summer. The people that we are still, before I could just fully answer it, which would be a yes, is I think Christian Joe said it with we have to be able to trust all these new faces. There's more new faces on this team, whether they be freshmen, whether they didn't play last year. Kanan Ardwan, who will be a starting quarterback for us possibly, or at least a heavy rotation with it. He hasn't played since his freshman year. So there's a lot of new guys that we're counting on, and you really don't know until those pads really come on. And, of course, we're a couple of weeks before, finally we'll be able to get into those pads.
Your biggest emphasis this summer?
Accountability. I think really accountability is where it starts and it ends. 'Cause I just think it really shapes everything. My screensaver on the phone is accountability, and it's the BBs as far as the two Bs, and really it's just for them to understand, to be here. We've had some guys who's shown up every single day, which is great, but there's been some guys who, there's been some days that they needed to be here, and that's where those captains I've really been able to see take that extra step. It's hard to be a leader, it really is. It's I think some people really have to understand, even if it's a buddy or somebody you're learning, or it's a new freshman, it's tough being a leader nowadays. Sometimes that leadership role of why aren't you here? Why aren't you, doing that necessary things you need to do to make us better as a team?
Two-part question here. Number one, what's the most difficult thing you had to overcome a year ago? And number two, the most difficult thing to overcome in the season, not related to injuries?
I think really the first part of that for sure, and it's,
probably would be injuries, wouldn't it?
I would say it's injuries, but it's one of those things that how do you get guys to understand what it took to be able to do something for the first time. With low numbers means you might have had 60 reps your junior year in a game, and now you might have 100. And to me, that's where even with the injuries, sometimes I felt as though pushing bodies in the limits that to do something like that, it's not whenever I was hired in May and I have June and July to get you ready. That is a body preparation you need from January or really after the other season starts that you've got to go into, which feels good because now I've had time to build some of these guys' bodies to where it can withstand things like that. Now the second part of the question, besides the injuries, there's nothing that really stands out. I just enjoy football. Like I enjoy being a coach and being around the kids. There's not one thing, because every day it's a new fire, and for me, it's I've been around coaches who they might get burned out by the fire. For me, it was understanding that tomorrow is probably going to be a new fire, and but you go and you accept it, you see what it is, you attack it, and make sure that you're doing what's best. And for me, I feel like that's an everyday deal, and it might be a kid who has a ride issue, not just a fire as in I need to kick somebody off the team, which, or anything like that. It's yeah, he can't get a ride, and this is a freshman who needs those reps for today. That's more or less where I always feel like, what is the fire of tomorrow? And if it's an easy fire, then you appreciate the day, but it might be a bigger fire down the road.
Okay. What do you lean on when things aren't going right on a Friday night?
I think for a lot of it is the coaches have a good coaching bond, and they're like family. But like a lot of times in last year, it's right after the game. One of the biggest things is just seeing my wife and my boys, and having three little boys. That's 4, 3, and 1 with Max and Porter and Momo, and I think for me that was my decompress. And a lot of times, after a loss, though, you realize that it's a game, and you put 1,000% of trying to get those kids ready to win on Friday night. But ultimately, it's a lot of things are bigger than football, and for me, it's a reset of family and friends. Kind of regroup, and then by Saturday morning we watch the film of the previous night, and win or lose. Then after that, it's a new day. We're in the coach's office, and we're pressing ahead. It's just a tunnel vision, is how it goes.
Okay. How important is versatility in your playbook after dealing with all the injuries last year?
I think really versatility comes. I like versatility regardless. Football nowadays is built off of speed. And for me, it's always trying to kind of, and same thing if you're me being a defensive guy. If there's a linebacker who's not getting the playing time, maybe he's a little slow. He's an old Mike backer that might have been a starter in the 90s, but now with spread and different things. It's all right. Look, let's let the D-line coach kind of take you over, and let's see if you can get you ripping and running and using that fast twitch muscles up front. Is it a safety who might not really be working his way into the first 2 or 3, but he's a part of our best, let's just say at least 15 to 20 that might play on defense. Can we move him down to linebacker? What can we do? And I think that's where I think the versatility goes. And for me, when you say you can play corner, you can play receiver. When you're a safety, usually those guys, safeties, they like to hit a little bit more. So to me, that's going to scream you can be a running back, and you can be it. So to me, it all kind of falls hand in hand. But I like to view people more their versatility on defense, because I think it's a different way you go about things, and then compared to trying to judge defensive guys off of offense.
Coach, what's one area in execution that the team has to improve to flip close games?
First steps, 1,000%. First steps. It's if your first step's no good, you've already lost it. And if you're a great athlete, maybe you can out athlete somebody. Maybe you can take a false step and still make yourself right. But to us, it's first steps. And if you heard, especially the O line and D line, when you're talking about the most important, they're talking about board drills. And those board drills are filmed. I mean, our offensive line coach, our offensive coordinator is sitting there and judging every step, making the corrections. The kids have to go see it, and so. We know if that's not good, then the rest is probably not going to be as good either.
How do you emphasize finishing blocks and playing through the whistle?
I think that's a tenacity, but really, you have to drill it in their minds nowadays, especially with these kids, because they're so curious about things. They always, whenever I played, you did what Coach said. If he said block to the whistle, you block to the whistle. And for a lot of that, though, is it goes to built-in things in the drills. So, you're not going to just go for 2 or 3 seconds. We're going to make sure that you're driving for 5 to 6 seconds. It's doing different things to be able to get them in that phase of, even if you don't hear the whistle, you're ingrained to be able to stay on that block. If you're a D-line or you're a corner, or you're a anything on defense. You're ripping and running until we know we get to the ball, and then we're good to go. Don't guess, don't assume anything.
Introduce your 2025 coaching staff.
So really starting on the defensive side of the ball, we have Coach Barrett, Stephen Barrett, that'll be coming in, again, returning from last year. So systems in place, it's good because even though we're having to teach a lot of new faces, it's the same system, which is what we want, which is built-in rules. So that's nice to have, that to lean on. And we have Tyler Thibodeau, who's our outside linebackers coach, and for him, he's somebody that played here. He's a heck of a baseball coach. He's a heck of a football coach here. And for me to have him on staff, it's such a different way when you see the growth of coaching him in high school, and now he's a part of the coaching staff and does a great job. And then we have we call him Lil Mo, which is kind of a tip of the hat to Coach Moad, the legend here. But for Gabe LeBlanc, he's our D-line coach, and another one coached him. He was in drills with me. Last year he was wet behind the ears and just did an incredible job. And it's one of those things that last year, I kind of took him on as a mentorship, and he took it, ran with it, and to the point that now I kind of go help with the inside linebackers now. So defensively, that's kind of where we are at as far as the mainstay of each person on the defensive side. On the offensive side, it's been a challenge with the direction we're going, but I absolutely love it. But we call him Coach Benji Gonzalez. Him and Coach Peters at Karen Crow, which Coach Peters is, he's excellent at everything he does. Everything he touches is gold. And to be able to bring him over, what he's had within that mentorship, he's going to do an incredible job for us. What's really neat with Coach Benji, though, is he is really kind of changing some of the ways that offensively, from drill work to the way he comes. He has a plan. This is what we do. This is how we do it. He wants film on it, and I just think for him it's such a good, fresh perspective for what he wants, and his vision is to be top notch and be elite. And he's a excellent hire for us. And we have Coach Luke Barra, who's been our offensive line coach through Coach Terry Martin, Coach Chad. I think he was here with Coach he was definitely, but he was with Coach Lotief, he was with Coach Lockard. Now he's with me, and so for him, he's a Breaux Bridge guy. He's been here. I might have been here longer here earlier, but I left, so I'm a reset clock. But he's a mainstay with the offensive line. Look, he knows. If you ask him anything about anything, you can ask the kids. He knows his stuff, but he is really good asset, and will do anything in the world. Just a great man. And then we have Coach Gabe Cormier, who's our head baseball coach. He's kind of working with the running backs. So him and basically Coach Gabe and Coach Benji are becoming one. So like you heard Balin and Shawnee and different things like that, one of the biggest things is their steps. Isaiah with quarterback steps. So they are two peas in a pod and really work together well. And then really what it's going to be for a wide receiver, we have a blessing that's at least coming. He's going to be late, but we have Coach Kyle Cormier who's kind of helping with the receivers a little bit right now. But we'll have Javian Williams, who played for us, I think that was around 2013, played baseball at Southern. He's actually been within some minor league pro ball stuff. He helped with the baseball team this spring. And when I saw he helped with the baseball, I said, we got to get him over here for football. So he's doing his thing with baseball, but he'll be back soon. And for him, he's probably one of the more complete guys that whenever I arrived, as far as wide receivers who was willing to block, was willing to run the crispest routes, and everything that he does is what I would want our, not just receivers to do, but everybody out on the field. And but that kind of rounds out the staff. And of course we have some other guys that are within the realm that we're working to make sure that we can get them on Friday nights, because more eyes and more coaching, of course, the better, you know.
Take me to the practice field. High intensity reps or longer teaching periods?
So we really have to maximize everything because whenever I was here in the past, you know, when numbers are high, defense is on this side of the field, offense is on this side of the field. You do your thing. You come together for 7-on-7 and inside run. Well, I mean, that's the goal to get us there, but we're not there yet. So I kind of stole it from Coach Pete Carroll and Coach Orgeron, but we want to start with high intensity. So we're starting with bags. Look, we running backs, they're holding the ball, we're punching it out, we're barking, we're going through bags. And to me, it kind of sets the tone, you know, to go out there and just do a few little A skips and B skips, not to say those are never important, but we don't want to start slow because to me, that's your energy level, how you're approaching it. So we are starting out hot. And so like for today, we went from bag warm-ups to instantly we're going into a tackle circuit with 4 different stations that are hitting on different elements of how to tackle. And then we are going straight into a special team. So like today was kickoff, so kind of working, making them understand play side and backside on our kickoffs. And look, it is a lot in about 20 minutes. But we're also doing that because that's how you master conditioning. You know, we cannot have long teaching periods because we have to be high energy, because whenever they are playing offense, defense, and special teams, they can't be getting in shape at that point. They better be in shape. So, but love it. Love the energy that we have. And look, we're still installing, because of course with the offensive coordinator, but even for us, it's fast.
We're going to go to the beginning of a game and the end of a game. We start with the beginning. What's the most important thing a team has to do in the first 5 minutes of a game?
I think it's a challenge for both. You know, I still say as a defense, you know, every offensive coordinator comes out with their script. They're going to script some plays.
Right.
And the thing is that, you know, you want to be able to see what is involved with that script. And to me, that's how you learn offensive coordinators. Some might come out aggressive, some might stay within their base plans, but once you get out of that script, to me, or you get them out of that script, to me, that's where you're settled in, because they scripted that first 10 to 20 plays. Are we doing something totally different? They had to abandon it, so now they're going into more of what you know, what did data pull, what did we pull off of there. So offensively, though, I think the first 5 minutes, I felt as though it's just settle down. You know, how many quarterbacks have you seen that's trying to throw an easy throw and he overthrows it because he's doing it? It's just bring that energy down, but don't lose the intensity behind it. And I think first drives for offense, get a first down. That's your first goal. You know, can we get another first down? There we go. And then if you can go score, now we're good, but let's not fail ourselves. I think that's what was my biggest challenge, you know, as far as always coaching, is when offense scores first, you really have to settle down, because those guys can kind of get comfortable on you. Or the little things don't matter anymore, you know?
Fast forward. What separates a good team from a great one in those final minutes?
I think overall just discipline. You know, I feel like when you have that, and when I mean self-discipline, I think that's physical, I think that's mental, that's the whole core. But I think, you know, disciplined teams can stay locked in. You know, how many times did Tom Brady go down there, if that's the definition of discipline? Because he was prepared, he was ready, and he went and he did his thing. And, you know, I think that's, to me, that is the number one thing. It's like in a classroom. Are you disciplined enough to say that you are locked in from the beginning to the end? You know, and it's tough. Some people, you know, they hope for the best at the end, but they're not locked in to say, I want to make the play. That's a big difference. And a lot of that is even the preparation, which deals with discipline.
Let's stay there then. What does a prepared team look like beyond just knowing what the plays are on Friday?
To me, is when I feel as though, in the teams that I've been a part of, I think even Coach Lotief used to bring it up a lot, even though I only went through spring, but just think the world of him. But, it's if you're having to do most of your coaching on Friday night, then there's a problem. And for me, it's Monday through Thursday. By the time you do that, by the time they leave Thursday, is the hay in the barn, basically. And if you are going to bed as a coach or you feel as though you're not ready, then you probably pretty much know. And for most coaches, you usually have the hay in the barn on Thursdays. But if you are really having to coach the first steps on Friday nights, then we have bigger issues. And it might be somebody else needs the chance and you got your shot, or how can we correct that? Because that's what Monday and Thursdays are for.
New scheme on offense, same scheme on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe your players understand the why behind the X's and O's now?
I think we're getting there. We still have a little bit of some. I think defensively, the guys who know it, I think it's becoming second nature. It's reactive. For new guys, for some of the things we're asking them to do, it's just reps. And those reps aren't just June and July. Those reps are going to be up until Nish for scrimmage, up until Lafayette for the Jamboree. And then, of course, hoping at that point, and not just hoping, it will be, but by week 1 against Natchitoches Central when we go there, which, of course, is my hometown, but that we're locked and loaded and they are now reacting, and then they just kind of feed off of that and build off of it as the season goes.
What if someone throws something unexpected at you? How do you prepare you guys for that?
Rules, systems. Offensively, Coach Benji, I brought it up today, whether it's to the kids. I know we had talked about it for sure. And when you have rules, there's not a front that you can throw at them that they should not be able to get out of it. So if we've been practicing with an underfront and somebody comes out and says they're going to go with the overfront, who cares? We are not panicking because we know our rules, and that's good. Defensively, it's, what is our empty check that we know that we're going to have? That is our base empty check. That's our system. We will not be caught off guard. What is it that, what's our trips checks? What is our two receiver checks? And to me, when you have those, you'll never get caught with your pants down. But then, of course, you're always going to have some things and you're not going to sit in base and obviously off of there, but you should never be caught off guard by stuff if systems in place. Now, if we did a defense week 1 and then we look at week 2 and say there's Vermilion Catholic and Coach Prejean over there and we're going to do a whole different defense, we can't work that way, because now kids, there's no systems in place, and that's where you get caught,
Okay. How do you make sure mistakes early in the game turn into lessons mid-game?
Really, it's just get them to the sidelines. When they're playing both sides of the ball, look, sometimes it's tough. But what happens is that you just learn who's your best communicator. So like Balin Champagne might be the linebacker, and I need him to tell Shawnee, who's going to be outside linebacker, well, I can get you Shawnee because maybe he's just been running back. Balin, express this, get this to Shawnee, and then if Shawnee's not able to do it, but of course, usually it gets cleaned up pretty fast. And then visually, a lot of the kids, having the iPads nowadays is huge. And sometimes if there's some mistakes, like last year, our OC Coach Benoit, Mike would be, I need to see this person. We have to fix this on defense. So go with Coach Baird. He'll get them and find a different person. Somebody on offense, you have, sometimes you got to do what you do. I can't pop a timeout every time we make a mistake and we can't get them. But you just learn by it. But we get them before that next play, that next series for sure.
How much freedom do your players have to make adjustments on the field?
Trying to get them to understand they have all of them in the world. To me, it goes back to how prepared are they, how much do they watch film. So, if Coach Barrett is noticing a difference in receivers' alignments, maybe they're split wider. Well, if they're not taking that into heart and understanding that they came out like this and now they came out like that. Maybe y'all can change the coverage if you want to. And I always say it, and the secondary is probably getting tired of me. If we're all wrong, we're all right. And what I mean by that is that if there is a coverage that we are playing, but everybody back on the back end is playing it, we're good. It might not be what coach called, but if it's something that they see it, but if we're all wrong, we're all right. But we can't have this side be right and this side wrong, because now you got two defenses and now you're getting caught off guard.
Approach at halftime. Technical changes, emotional reset. What do you like?
I think really the first thing is you got to just get the kids. The hardest part sometimes is getting those kids just to sit down, and they want to stand up, they want to stay moving. They have that adrenaline going. It's just sit down. So my approach was sit down. The assistant coaches, usually the offensive coaches, kind of on one side, the defense is on the other. I kind of go check on where it is. Are we struggling on offense? Well, I probably need to go see the offense first, check on them, kind of get the ball rolling for it, and then go kind of see what the defense is going. And then now is it adjustments? Is it silly mistakes? Are we shooting ourselves in the foot? Because that's the biggest frustration if that's what it is. But if it's adjustments, if they came out in some things and they're just running some good things that we have to tighten up our, just how we go about it, we make those adjustments. But then right before it, the defense is kind of let's come back. What's Coach Barrett have to say? For Coach Benoit, like last year, it's that kind of reset. Everybody's good. Now get up and let's have a little bit of quick high intensity, and then really it's just about getting on the sidelines and are we about to kick the ball off or are we about to go kick return,
Your ideal tempo of a game, are we under 10 seconds every play now moving forward? I mean, are we trying to win the time of possession?
Tempo, Coach Benji and us, we want tempo, but what we want is smart tempo,
Okay.
and I think for us, if you're sitting on a 10 to 14 to maybe 17 point lead and it's in the third quarter, we are not slowing that thing down in my eyes. If that feels like that's the worst thing that we could do, sometimes, because that's all it takes is one touchdown and it's a game again, so for me, it's being smart about it. If it's talking about 17 points, we're up with 5 minutes left in the game, you best believe that we're about to milk that clock. And one of the things though is we want to be it, because even the kids feel as though all we want to do is to run the ball. Look, when you have a receiver like Isaiah LeBlanc, it's all about getting our numbers to say, go guard that monster over there. Yeah. So we are not just an under center team. We're getting in shotgun, and we have a sophomore, DeCohen Celestine. We call him Pop, who's just as tall as Isaiah. So when you have those two type of specimens out there, people think that we're just about to be like a 90% run team. That's the farthest thing that we really want to do. We want to be balanced.
Okay.
But with that balance, there's your tempo. Spread is, they like to move. If you're in a one back system, they don't want to sit there, that clock bleed down to 2 seconds. You want rhythm. Now, if we're just handing the ball off and split back veering them, yeah, we might could do some stuff to slow it down. But no, we want a high flying veer and shoot is what I would say. They keep saying veer, but me and Coach Benji, our vision is veer and shoot.
Okay. How do you define growth beyond wins and losses for this program?
Really, the growth, I feel like it's the mindset. They didn't have a good year. What was our mindset going to be like? Is this what it is? Are we going to accept it? Are we going to feel sorry for ourselves? Are we going to move past it? And as shy as they were, and we can kind of hear them in there, which is their true selves. For them though, it has really been, kind of that run through the brick wall. Let me show you what I have. And the bandit drill that Christian Joseph brought up, where we're being able to compete. To me, that's the mindset. Or is it did we do an incomplete pass and it's the poor pitiful me? Well, we didn't really grow how I feel like we should have, and so, it's kind of a generic answer, but it's the truth. But to me, it's just all about that mindset of what's in the past. We can dwell on it, or we can move on and try to write our own story, which is what I really, 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 really hope for this group. And and I want the seniors for last year to understand that that record doesn't reflect who they were, but the system and the culture that we were trying to set is what they set in store, and you build off of that.
Coach, how rewarding is it when it clicks for a player on a Friday night?
It's nothing better. And to me, it's when you see really good players become the man on the field. Like that's the ultimate, because now that you've got a beast that's on there. But really, the most rewarding, I think, is a kid that comes out of nowhere and really kind of takes over. And to me, take for instance, there's a little sophomore, Trail Cruz, who's going to be our starting wheel and also our tight end at the moment. But he's a guy that if you asked him if he was going to play his freshman year, he'll tell you right now he wouldn't have. But he works his tail off. And then, of course, last year, all he did was get better and better, and we throw him in a game, and it's like, wow, that to me, that was the ultimate, especially the young guys like that you see that they work hard, and then boom, here they go.
Hosted a camp this year, hosted a camp last year. Could we expect to see it again next year?
Yeah, and a lot of it is, I'm a Natchitoches guy, but Breaux is home for me. And one of the biggest things why when I left from Karen Crow and whenever I left to Church Point, I still lived 5 minutes from school, because I knew that this is the place that kind of I wanted to be and do it. And me, it's not, even though Breaux Bridge High School is what got me here, I just love this town. And for a lot of it is, camps, the kids that were out there that were all of those ages, it was just so fun. And hope that it grows. And I want to be able to do more to promote the facilities that we have here, because look, Crawfish Ponds, we out in the, if you're from here, you know it. If you're from St. Martinville and Cecilia and Beauchamp and Livonia, you see it. But like Natchitoches Central last year had some people there, and of course, like anything, they're like, man, y'all out in the boonies, son, and everything that I love about it, and it's just, so promoting what we have and just letting the Breaux Bridge know that it's about us all together. It's just not about us at this school and these kids.
Any new upgrades to talk about? Fundraisers wrapped up or could be happening soon, and your booster club.
Well, get blessed, especially with this year. We have our extravaganza that's every year, and that's going to be coming up soon. And they got like Gino Delafonte to play, and when you get Gino playing, and of course, like anything else, good times will be had. It'll be fun, and so that's one thing that I kind of look forward to, because I get to see a lot of faces that I might see once a year, which was at that event. And whenever I was an assistant coach, got to meet so many, just good people. And that's the quarterback club's kind of doing to get them. Our quarterback club does a great job, because like for Poche's, that's where that money and stuff goes to, feeding them, doing different things. They cooked after the games and do things like that. They just do an awesome job. And we'll have something within our program that's going to be something new that's going to be kind of popping off for after the extravaganza. That will be just another little thing, because we want everybody to, if you want to help, have their chance to help, and not everybody can get to that extravaganza.
Let's go to your quarterback position. You could see two guys take reps there this year. Heck, you saw 5 last year.
Correct.
What have you seen from those two guys this offseason that they bring to the table here in 2025?
Well, I think the one thing is Kanan coming in and just getting back into football mode. He's done a great job. He's a great kid, and I was so excited when he came out in the spring, because anybody who says I'm coming, it wasn't until that first spring practice that I was like, all right, good. and for him, he wants to learn. He soaks it in, but it's different. It's different. But I think what really helps Kanan, besides running this offense, especially because in the spread, you better have the quarterback to be able to decipher that. And I think he's more than ready. He could do it from even our spread or our veer and shoot way of going one back. But yeah, he's very capable. But then when you have Isaiah, there's a whole different element right there. There's a whole different dynamic. So what's neat with Kanan is that might be your quote unquote quarterback. Isaiah, you've got a quarterback there, but then you've also got somebody who you better account for, and you better have you better not lose contain, and he can throw the ball. He's a high football IQ guy. But the level of confidence is just raising them up. And we have a little young buck, Emery Boban, that really it's not about them. If something happens to them, Emery's going through the grind with the steps, and so we have 3 in place that we know can get it. And he's just a sophomore, and he's just waiting his turn too. But of course, Kanan and Isaiah being the seniors, I mean they're kind of getting it's theirs for right now.
The running back position. Talk to me about how difficult of a challenge was that, knowing you might be in shotgun one play and you might be fingers in the ground the next.
I think they've all bought into it because we kind of were short. If we were running spread, we would be short in the running back situation. Where we're at now and putting your hand on the ground and different things like that, we have a big running back group, a huge running back core, and of all points. So like Shawnee and Balin are kind of our best thicker backs, if you want to say. But they're also starters on defense as well. We have Arkel John Baptiste, who's came from us from track. He's a person that, if he could really take hold of that position, he gives us some speed and an element. But we have a Michael Julian. We have a Noah Solomon. We have one after another that could go in there. So, and could count on them on Friday night.
The receiver room, you said you got 2 big ones out there.
Yes.
Talk about the entire group and the overall traits they bring to the game.
Well, Isaiah is if you want to say the alpha of especially of that group. And he really is with Pop is trying to get him to understand that athleticism, how to use that length. We've seen. I mean, I've been coaching long enough. I've seen receivers that are 6'3", but they play like they're 5'3". You've seen 5'3" guys play like they're 6'3", and really being able just to understand how to use your leverage, how to use your length, how to just adjust to things on the fly when the ball's in the air, how to just be a complete one. So Isaiah has the confidence. I feel like Pop is one of those that's developing those. In my perfect world is Isaiah, of course, is going to go play at the next level. That Pop tries to aspire what Isaiah is doing out there, and that just bleeds into some of the other receivers that we have. A young core, but guys that could really step in at any moment. And these are guys that could be pulling for defense. These are guys that may not realize they're going to be a receiver, really, whether they want to or not. But we have a little slot receiver like a little Austin Valderez. You want to talk about short, but make him run a whip route or guard him on man, and it's almost impossible. So everybody's got their different nuances.
Your offensive line, you got some pieces to replace there. Talk to me about that group, and do they have a lot of growing still left to do? Is it just going to take game reps?
Really, I don't even think it's game reps. I think it's just practice reps. Get the pads on. And one of the biggest things that we're adjusting in practice is we're going to be more physical whether we want to or not. It is a no-choice approach, which goes back to like about the finishing and finishing blocks. So for them, it is game reps, and having Luke and having Christian is huge. But we have Joseph Roberts, who's a junior, who has been just busting. He's had a great spring, and so for him, we're good there. The Jarek Lewis was a freshman last year that he's coming. We had a one that's just about as tall as me because I'm 6'5", 6'6", that's Blaine Saunier, that's he's a big boy. Jaden Martin, who's a senior. So guys who are coming back within the realm have playing time, but they just need practice reps, and the practice reps will match the physicality and what they're doing for the game reps.
Let's go to the other side of the football. How's those conversations been like with the defensive staff?
It's exciting, but it's that balance. You know, the elephant in the room is always, hey, my defensive guy is playing offense, the offensive guy is playing defense. We just have to be smart about it. So, like, whenever I see Shawnee and I see Balin Champagne, that's one position as a running back. If Balin is tired, Shawnee's in. You know, if Shawnee's tired, Balin's in. But before they get tired, they keep them rotating. Balin, you've got this series. Shawnee, you have this series. Oh, we're on the 10th play of this drive. Shawnee, get in there. Don't run them into the ground, and then now we're doing it. So everybody's kind of got it. But defensively, like D-line, though, we get Percy Moultrie, who was a freshman, started every game last year for us. So he's not a freshman, a normal freshman that's about to be a sophomore. Kenyon DeMonter is a guy who's going to play O-line for us as well. But he's a guy that really came on strong last year for us. So we're really in great shape when we say pieces of the puzzle. But whenever I do say backers, Shawnee's a running back, Balin's a running back, but of course they're going to split reps. Cruz Trail, who's out right now because he's been every day and we kind of got some things, but like he's our starting tight end and our starting wheel. There's a lot of reps right there, you know, and but we have like Emmanuel, his name is Emmanuel Watson. He was basketball last year. He's played football before. This will be the first time under us, but coaching him up, and he's also a guy that's going to be the number 2 or number 3 tight end for us. So, you know, you look around everywhere and you're like, you're this and that, but defensively it is, let's make sure that we're being smart. But look, we can hold everybody to a touchdown, but if we take everybody and put them on defense, we're not going to score points. You know, so you have to be realistic. But we're upbeat for sure on the defensive side.
What's the key to winning third down and getting off the field?
Really, I think it's, which besides the distance and of course the situations and stuff, you know, third down to me is not the end all be all. It's what you do with that third down. So if you can turn 3rd and 8 to 4th and 2, we going for it more than likely. You know, is it 3rd and 8 and, you know, we have to throw the ball, you know, that's a different story. But I'm not as worried about third down. So I think I've always had that philosophy of, can we get it 4th and manageable? Can we get it into that point, though, where maybe it's a 3rd and 8 and we just need to flip the field? It's 3rd and now it's 4th and 3 or 4. You know, maybe now punt, there's such a big threat of the fake that now we can flip the field because maybe it looks like we're about to go for it and stuff. So a mentality there's always got to be the next down, and we are not a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down only. No, you're going to have to stop us for 4 downs to get those 10 yards.
And flip the question on the other side of the ball, getting off the field.
Really, it's just about staying within the realm of what is your job. You know, a lot of kids on defense, it's easy to try to follow that football like a fan in the stands. You know, a corner might be looking at the QB, but he's playing man, and that's the last place his eyes need to be. But really, it's just about what's your technique, where's your fundamental, and just rely on that. And usually that'll put you in the best spot to maybe it's an incomplete pass, maybe it's a tackle, or, you know, but you have to rely on those fundamentals on third down. You cannot try to say you're going to do 10 other people's jobs on the field.
Upcoming scrimmage, jamboree, what do you want to see from your group that day, and also your thoughts on your schedule?
You know, really the scrimmage, I just want to be able to see what is the tone that we set. You know, if we go out there on offense for the first thing, I just want to see, are we communicating and we're doing everything and we've really built off of it, or are we kind of shell-shocked because now we have Nish that's in front of us? And I think that's the first challenge, is just being able to see that. And, Really, overall, when you start looking at the schedule, Lafayette High will be a fun opponent for us, just for the fact, though, that new coach, a new system. They're trying to get Lafayette High off the ground just like anything else. So for me, I think even though I'm in my second year, but we have so many faces, is who's going to bring that energy? Who is it that are we going to look like we still have work to do? Are we going to look like a seasoned team who's ready for week one? And then of course, week one going to Natchitoches for me is huge, and Isaiah even brought it up. They're excited to go to Turpin Stadium. You're in a college stadium. You're against a 5A team, a team that we lost 14-12, and I suspended 17 week one. And my whole goal is for these kids to understand accountability and say we're going to go up there as a full unit, because if I suspend 17 again this year because they didn't come to a Labor Day practice, then now you're just making it that much harder for us to have a shot at winning.
Biggest question mark?
Probably the young guys. How quick can they really provide the depth that we need? And when I say the young guys, it's probably the fresh faces as well. And goes back to when we put pads on, we are going to be able to see what these guys are really made of. And look, it's easy right now. They're holding bags and we're hitting with hands. Put the pads on and it's a different deal. And hopefully, if you were to ask me that question, week 7 you come back, and I hope it's kind of like a lot of the names I might be throwing out. We're happy, we're healthy, we're good to go, because that probably means that those guys really, really, really created the depth that we needed.
I asked the guys earlier about a position group that needed to take the biggest step. A lot of them said a couple different position groups. Which one would you put your eyes on?
I really think for me, I think I feel as though it's going to be our running backs. And the only reason I say it's our running backs is because it really has to have a running back by committee approach. Yeah. If we do not have 6 running backs, 5 to 6, that we cannot rely on at any time, we are going to be asking a lot out of some kids that just will play and give everything they have. But realistically, we have to have that 6. And kind of like earlier, it still was. If we were in our old system, we would only have 1 or 2 that we really could know that could do this thing. But now saying 6, but steps, some of them just this June was learning how to take a handoff, and so that's definitely the question mark on offense. And really, I think the question mark on defense is depth at the linebacker position, because 3 out of the 4 are also going to be starters. But we do have guys who hopefully can step up. We have he's a heck of an athlete, like Nelson Burrell, who can, we want him to come in as far as that tight end and really lock that up and then create some depth within that back end of the defense. So there's depth right there, and a few more guys to just really say, here it is, I'm here, and I'm a part of the best 11.
How do you get your players to understand not just what to do, but why they are doing it?
I think you got to attack them from all angles. You can't just rely on huddle nowadays. We have a Google Classroom with our drills. We have a Google Classroom with everything that they need to have. Coach Benji had done some research, and we have this justplays.com. It has it where you can quiz the players. It's certain things where it could stop a frame, and what is the quarterback's read right here? What's the running back's read going to be? What's the offensive line's read? So he's pop quizzing these guys. So to me, you got to hit them by, I guess if you want to say the auditory, which is, verbal. You got to be able to show them visual, which of course might be the whiteboard. And then of course the film room, and then of course they have to go out there and apply it. But you have to stay on them, and you have to make sure though that, like today, it's just constant prodding and questions, just as if what a teacher does in there. If they can spew it back to you, it's good. If they can't, that's where that why. You probably need to go tell them why they got to do it that way, and then boom, it fixes itself.
What's the difference between a team who works hard and a team who competes every day?
You know, that's a great question. You know, to me though, you can work hard, but to me though, it's that competition is where you find out. You know, and what I mean by that is we can come in this weight room and me and you can work hard, but let's go out there and let's compete in this hot heat. That's a whole different element right there. And so, you know, for me, for the good team, if you see that, so today's situation was they're on the 30-yard line. Offense, you basically we're under 5 minutes. You have to score. We have to score to win it. You know, they got pushed back in a 3rd-10 situation. There was a really good pass. Got a ball to the 2-yard line. Of course, Coach Benji was like, "Well, can we run it?" Well, I mean, from the 2-yard line, we ain't throwing it. So of course we did it. Offense scored. You know, but I think it might have been. Maybe it was last week because off of it, it was one of those things where the defense wins. So it's good. You don't want offense to go win everything or defense to go win everything because that means you're good on one side of the ball. So we're competing, we're having fun, and to me, I just like competing anyways.
How do you celebrate small wins to keep morale and focus high then?
I think you have to focus on the small wins. You know, I think we take for granted what it takes to win. Last year, you know, I don't know if those kids really understood how close we were to being 3-1 instead of 0-4. You know, when you say Natchitoches Central 12-14, Isaiah brought up the St. Martinville game. You know, I went from a 1st-string quarterback to a 3rd-string quarterback week 2 against the state champions of Vermillion Catholic, but that one was a slaughter. But the things when you start looking at stuff like that was, it might have been you didn't stay within the system here. You didn't do this. You pouted and you should have just said next play. You get, you know, and so for me that's where it's at right there.
Why is body language so important?
Because it can tell on you in a heartbeat. You know, whenever I say pouting, I think I just had about 10 different images that just went like a little scrapbook, and I could tell, you know, love those kids to death. And look, and a lot of times they are great kids. They don't see it, and they don't understand how that can reflect how a coach views them and how players can view them. But, you know, they care. To me, sometimes pouting is not a bad thing. I don't like it, but pouting shows that you care. It's just we have to eliminate on how we approach it, because we can't pout. Like in life, in school, you know, if I didn't study for a test, I can't pout that I got an F. I mean, my body language just needs to tighten up and go about business, you know.
How often do you go back to the basics even at practice?
Every Monday. I think every Monday. You know, Ed Orgeron used to have all those little themes, but to me, you have to get back to basic fundamentals on Mondays. You know, when we're going into installs and different things like that, I think after everybody's kind of done corrections of the games, what is it? Why is it we didn't run the ball? I guarantee you it goes back to fundamentals. If an offensive lineman didn't double team right, well, maybe he was being lazy and he just went straight to the backer instead of helping his man. Fundamentals, technique, you know, so you have to reset on Monday, and then as Wednesday comes, that's more of a situational type practice. You put them in the fire, you give them different situations, but you're still preaching those Monday fundamentals all week.
Most important quality in a leader?
Not being afraid to lead. I think, again, you know, and I think it really is that you hear that Mamba mentality or Kobe or whatever. It's just, can you get on to somebody and really know that there might be a little bit of animosity behind it, but you are holding somebody accountable, your teammate. And I think that's, I mean, besides that, it's just don't be afraid of failure, really. Because, I mean, sometimes you just got, I mean, you're going to fail at things, but you just can't make those same mistakes, you know.
Describe an unsung hero and who could take on that role this year.
to me, there's two people last year that I felt like were unsung heroes. To me, is where I'm gonna kind of find for this year. Isaiah could easily be another unsung hero last year because he swallowed his pride and did what was best for the team, and he was hurt with that labrum as well. But I mean, he went from a receiver to a quarterback because that was a lot of his buddies on the team, and knew I can do this, and he took it upon him. But last year we had Ethan Combe, who I think was an all-district tight end. If not, I mean, the kid, great kid, but he went from a starting tight end to a starting outside linebacker, and we had Sage Chevalier as tight end. But as everything goes, Sage gets banged up towards the end of the season. Now Ethan comes back and he plays both sides of it. That's a person, to me, that really kind of sticks out as your time's going to come. Just stay on course. And of course, I think he got second team tight end. But it just, to me, that's an unsung hero because it was the selfless acts as a teammate that kind of made it. And the other one is we had Kale, and Kale was an offensive lineman who, there was an Ethan Petrie that was knocked out for the season as far as a back injury. And Kale was banged up, and he was not coming out of the game. He was not stopping his leadership role on the team. And that's also the guy who's going to show the team that, look, my arm might be dragging, my shoulder might be dragging, but coach, you're not taking me out of this game. Those are the kids you live and die by those guys.
UTL cover another game this year?
Yeah, Northside, right? Is that what we got?
That's cool.
I hope so, for sure. And that's a good matchup for us because even though they're right down the road, that is an old rivalry within this district. So whenever I got here, STM, Turlings, Northside, Breaux, Cecilia, Martinville, St. Martinville was a 4A school. You want to talk about that was a heck of a district. So it's good to have an opponent that was a former district player to come over here and just be right down the road, because besides that, if we didn't, we don't really link up a whole lot with Northside. And Jacardi and everybody that's doing their thing over there did a great job, and they put it on us last year, and look, they came out energetic, I think, to prove a point. And for us, it's one of those things that they have to remember that time. So it should be a fun game and a fun atmosphere for sure. And of course, week 7, we'll know what we about by then for sure.
Feeder program here.
Love it. We get the blessing. We have parks down the road. So we'll get some kids. It all depends on zone. So some come to us depending on their zone. Some go to St. Martinville. Quentin Thibodeau, who is actually was a guy that was played here. He's a junior high coach over there, and look, that he has done an amazing job on getting numbers. We probably have about 27 freshmen that were coming. So you want to talk about a feeder program and him doing a great job. And so that's perfect as far as Breaux Junior High. St. Bernard is the little private school, Catholic private school. We get a few that from there every single year. And, for us, it's nice because you are saying you have 3 schools. Sometimes Breaux Junior High is our main feeder, obviously. But it's nice to have some counterparts on the side as well. And they all have their strengths for sure.
What's the most rewarding part of coaching high school football?
I think really it's just seeing the growth from kids. If I had to say the leaders of the group last year to this year, like Shawnee Lewis, I think is somebody who is just, what he has done, his maturity and watching that is every reason why you want to get into coaching. And it has nothing to do with the football field. He already did his thing in the football field, but just shaping those. And when you see them in Walmart or you see them in passing, you can only hope that they just kind of appreciate the standards that you kind of instilled in them.
Is there a moment you can recall on why you do this?
I think you know, to get into coaching, sometimes you might see what it's about. For me, I had to find it, and one of the biggest things is that, after I got hurt playing ball, I didn't realize coaching what it was. I loved watching LSU football. I love watching Saints football. I love watching high school football. But for me, it was just really that first opportunity to say, I'm going to go to school because I want to go get teacher certified and I want to coach. And it was Bradley Del Pivoto at NSU. One of the coaches Coach Laird was at NSU whenever I was out there. Coach Thomas, who's also a former head coach out there, who's part of Natchitoches Central. To me, whenever I got out there, though, I don't think I ever had an experience to say, like, this is it. Like, this is exactly what I wanted to do. Now, college, they can have college, and this whole NIL deal, hey, I hope they all get NILs or whatever. I hope my little kids do, But high school football, though, is just that was my calling. College was not. But yeah, just going out there and I'll never have a desk job. I don't want a desk job. All I want to do is coach kids and let them have some great memories for those 4 years they're here.
How do you want your players to know that you see them as people and not just athletes?
You have to show them you care. Look, let's be real. If they don't trust you, there's always going to be a guard up. And Kyle let you in, of course, with things, even with my dad, and like I broke down in front of the kids, and just, had hugs and different things like that. Last year I broke down. I'm not a very emotional guy, but, I broke down because I wanted those seniors to, man, if I could go back and make them 8-2, whatever I need to do besides sacrifice people, I would do it because I wanted it so bad for them. And, a lot of them, though, is you do have to break barriers. I mean, last year, that was the biggest thing. I mean, they had three head coaches in 4 years. I don't know if they could trust me. I might have even thought that we had a closer relationship even through it, but there still might have been walls up, which is so nice with these because, I mean, I hope they can see that everything we're doing it comes from a genuine place.
Your most memorable game ever coached?
Assistant, or are we talking about head coach?
Whatever you got.
I think last year, Livonia, if I said head coach, I left behind 19. There was 19 that didn't get on that bus to go to Livonia last year, and I knew that was a game that we needed to take that step. Goes back to when I laid my head in the pillow. I didn't want to leave 19 back, but it's what we had to do. And when you're 1-8 at the time, you have to make sure what's on that bus is what you can trust, what you can put out there, and that you will win or lose with those kids no matter what. And for me, it was, if I remember right, we ran the ball 58 times. And one of the biggest things for that is I think it was 14-7 or 14-6, forget the final score. But there was never a time where I felt as though we were just one score away. I mean, we all knew it. We were preparing that all it takes is one bust and this is a tie game. But for me, I just was so proud of watching those kids literally give every single thing that they have, and then knowing that senior class got to leave as a winner, which is exactly what they are.
Your mentor in the coaching world?
Oh, so many of them. Coach Freddie Hallman, who is, to me, he's been at Holy Savior Menard. He's been at Grant. He's been at places. He is my ultimate because he was my coach that I felt as though kind of took me from here and gave me the confidence to really rise. We don't talk as much as we should because I've just been down here, and and I called him last year to kind of go over some things, but Coach the Chad Porsche, whenever he was here, we came into Breaux the same deal, and Coach Paul was so awesome. We got to learn up under him as Coach Paul was, even though the head coach, I mean, just one of the best defensive minds that you could ever be around. And for me, it was it was really that brotherhood that me and Chad had, and watching Chad go from an assistant coach to assistant football coach to head basketball coach, then to head football coach, and then head basketball coach, and then when Chad would leave to go to be the head basketball coach, everybody else that was in there, I got to have it because I always kind of did the weight room during that time. So with me, it was so nice because I get to now kind of be a head coach, and I wanted to take things off of his plate. And then, of course, when Coach Terry was here, Coach Terry was a short while, but he's a person though that really, I think, elevated the professionalism that I really saw, just the way he handled business and all of his organizational skills and the way he goes about things. And he was one that really just, man, it couldn't. But but it's those are my Breaux Bridge guys, and but that's why it's so hard to answer, because when I went to Karen Crowett, Coach TC showed me everything that I wanted to see over there. Hard moves that were made. The first year I go over there, they were fresh off of a state championship. We weren't doing that good. After that season was over, he made some of the hardest moves that I've ever been able to, I saw. And there was some decisions there that I was in awe that he did that, because nobody was above the team, which is what he preached. And when I saw that, I was just like, there it is. And then we went to the semis and lost to Brother Martin that next year. And we do not make that run if he does not make those tough decisions. So, and then with Coach Poole, I mean, he's the guy that really gave me my first chance to even say, come be the DC over here for us. And so, I mean, it's hard to make it, but, brotherhood with Chad, though, that's the guy who I really practice with, and we still talk all the time, and just admire him so much because I got to see him just rise the ranks. Did a hell of a job.
What are you most excited for this season? What are you most proud of from this group?
I think really what I'm looking for is the growth between, I think, week 1 to going into that first district game. Week 1 is always a challenge, whether you have a bunch of returning starters or not, because, I've been on both sides of it. But, when district hits, let's be real, that's where, you can really make your statement within district. And then it doesn't help that you got the defending state champions over there right down the road in West Cecilia. And, for us, that's our first test, and that's the one where we're going into district against the state champions. I mean, there's no better, Civil War rivalry, whatever you want to call it, but that's our test. That's our first one of the district, and we know we have to be a lot better from week 1, whether we win or lose, to there. I think that's the first deal we want to see. And then, what was the second part of the question?
Most proud of so far from this group?
Most proud of so far is just the wherewithal that the kids have, that we have to know what we're doing. And when I say wherewithal, that comes with leadership, that comes with making sure you're doing the necessary things to put us in a position to win. Because I want to win the scrimmage. We're not going to keep score. We might do one live quarter, but our mindset has to be, let's go win that scrimmage. And whether we do or not, if we didn't, well, let's get back on the drawing board, and then let's go win this jamboree, and if you win it, you better stay humble, and that's sometimes, that's what can happen. You can win a scrimmage in a jamboree and you feel yourself going into week 1, and so just the proudest moment we'll be able to say, though, guys, you see what we did? This is why we're now ready to win.
Your message to the alumni and to the community?
Really my message is I'm not from here. I'm a north of ITN guy, but I mean, I don't really, sometimes if they are born here, they don't realize how special this place is, and for me, it's whenever I go back home to where I know everybody. And then, I mean, I'm from Natchitoches, but down here, it is just the way of living, the way of life, like the alumni that you see, they care about it. I can't tell you how many alumni people, football or not, they'll tell you how many yards this person ran in 1983, and they'll be able to tell you in 1999 that such and such had they had 8 catches and they scored the winning touchdown. You don't get that in Natchitoches. You don't get that in a lot of places. So football itself is big here, and it's why you want it to be that standard is getting higher. But the culture has to be right to sustain what they did for all those years, because they've had some athletes that's walked through this door, and we have some. It's not the same, but we just have to. We're not going to out athlete anybody right now. But the older they get, more mature within the systems, though, I don't want them to rely on athleticism. I want them to know what they're doing and why we're doing it, and do it at the best of your ability.
Coach, close us out today with the quote of the day.
Don't be afraid to fail. I still say a drill. It was good to hear the guys understand how important the endo drill, the individual drills are for us. Sometimes you have to do a rep, and you might fall flat on your face. Something might happen, but you can't be embarrassed about it. You can't be anything. Just get up. I would rather get up and go do. Don't even if coach says no, we don't have time for it. Get back in your stance and do it right. And I think when the kids prove to themselves that they get back up and they go do it, it's fine, because there might be 20, let's just say 11 on 11. I mean, it's 22, right? I mean, there's going to be a lot of failures that's going to be going within each play. It's just how bad are those failures.
Coach, final words.
Appreciate you doing what you do with all this stuff. Just, promotion of high school football. Friday nights is nothing. There's nothing like it. There's nothing that can ever, community-wise, alumni-wise, and everything else. And having people who are watching and understanding those kids, shy or not, those kids deserve all the little limelight you have. So I appreciate what y'all do for sure. And I just want everybody really just to know, though, that it is not about Breaux Bridge football program. It's really about the BB that's the community-wise. We're trying to make y'all proud, but it's not a flash in the pan. It's hard sometimes to get those pillars up. We're gonna get it there, though.
Yeah,
we're gonna get it.
Coach, thank you for the opportunity to come
for sure
sit with you this evening.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, head football coach of the Breaux Bridge Tigers, kind enough to sit down with us and talk a little Tiger football. It's never too early to talk football.
No, sir, not at all. Just appreciate you coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, scrimmage Thursday, August 21st, right here at Breaux Bridge High School. It will be Breaux Bridge versus New Iberia Senior High. Great way to see where you're at.
Absolutely. Come and watch us.
Jamboree, we're going to be at Como, Thursday or Friday.
So we are the last game on Friday night. So the good thing is no excuses. That sun will be down. We might not play until about 8:30. But, hey, it's what else should you be doing on a Friday night besides Como? And, of course, they'll be handing out all those tickets probably within the next couple of weeks. And so we'll be trying to sell it. And, like anything with the tickets, what's so nice is we get allotted like 600 tickets. And if somebody buys it from our 600 allotted tickets, then that goes back into our program, which is huge. So that's what's huge with the Kiwanis, and so opposite, of how most people, if you go somewhere, they're pocketing the money. But if they go to the door, then no program gets it. So whether it's, it's anybody within there, I just want them to understand it's huge for alumni to go back to where they were. And we look, if you're another school and you want to buy tickets, we'll get it to you. But for sure, just support these programs. It's expensive, but we just try to invest back in the kids the best we can.
That's it. Coach, good luck this season. We'll be talking.
Perfect.
And we'll see you in the fall.
That'll work. Thank you.
Hey, it'll be a lot cooler by the time we get to week 7.
Hope so.
Other than that, My man, keep what you're doing. It's showing. And you got a group right here that I got to talk to today that believes in this program, believes in the staff, and can't wait to see what's in store in 2025.
Yeah, and then of course, like anything, I want them to come see you week 7, and of course, like anything, look you in the eye, and hopefully everything that they said, they stuck with it, because I'm going to bring that up. You know, when they see you, those 5 that are in there, don't feed them a load of bull. We're holding standards, and week 7, they either going to say, you gonna know if it was for real or not. But those guys, I'll trust you, it'll be for real.
Great group that we got to speak with today, and Coach, it was an honor to be here.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks everyone for tuning in. We're going to eat pochades now. Thank you, Coach.
All right.